If we go back to the mosque, it is a mosque built by an official of Babur. It's not like Babur wrote a command saying go build a mosque there. No, it's not like that. There was an official called Hindu Beg who built this mosque.
The petition is merely asking that this is an ASI protected monument. Why aren't Hindus being allowed to go inside?
When ASI protects a monument, there are rules like you can't randomly change its structure, or you can't build a high rise, say 20 meters from the monument.
Okay.
So protection involves all of that.
Okay.
That there are certain steps ASI will keep for the will take for the upkeep of the monument, but that does not interfere with the religious character of the monument.
जो भी दंगाई हैं या जो भी शरारती तत्व हैं उन पर कठोर कार्रवाई की जाएगी और किसी को भी बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. I'm Charulata Biswas and you're watching Explain with me. And today we will be talking about Sambhal violence. And when I say that, I don't mean what happened, the violence that happened in Sambhal, but the history part of the whole discussion. And with me is Deeptiman Tiwari, who is a senior journalist, and he went to Sambhal. He interacted with both the communities, Hindus and Muslims, and he also interacted with a guru over there who actually led petitioner number 1, Hari Shankar Jain, to file this petition. And Yashi, who's also with us from the Explain desk, she's the assistant editor, and she will be telling us about the history of the mosque, which is about 500 years old. So let me first begin with Deeptiman. Deeptiman, you went to Sambhal, you spoke to the community over there. Tell me, what did you find out?
So see, as you spoke about this guru, he's basically a mahant of a temple which is around 25 kilometers from Sambhal. It's called Kaila Devi Temple. So it's a sprawling campus with a gaushala and some farms where vegetables are grown, and it is here actually that this entire thing of a petition claiming Hindu right over this mosque was actually conceptualized. So this mahant, his name is Rishi Rajgiri. He's petitioner number 3 in this petition, and it was he who, around a year back, went to Hari Shankar Jain and gave him some literature and some books claiming that this mosque was once a temple. And then Hari Shankar Jain he claims that he did his own research, and then when he gathered enough evidence, he filed a petition. So this Mahant actually is an interesting character because
Yes.
he runs what is called Antarashtriya Harihar Sena in Sambhal. And he claims it has been in existence for 5 years and has been going around villages conducting nukkar sabhas to create awareness about the existence of the temple at the mosque's site.
Okay.
And it has a WhatsApp group, and he claims that he's created some kind of a logo.
How big is the organization? Are they like...
I mean, this organization appeared to have some sort of an influence in the region, but largely around the temple.
Okay.
And since it is not very far from Sambhal town, so maybe in the periphery of town, largely among the Hindu community.
Right.
And it has, conducted certain protests in the past which have got the attention of local media also, so local papers have reported about it. As you remember, when there was this Sanatan Dharma controversy, and also it did some protests and all.
Okay.
It has a WhatsApp group which has a logo, which has a temple in the backdrop and an open lock in front, and it says Harihar Sena, Harihar Mandir Mukti Abhiyan. And he says that I've been creating awareness, and once the society got ready for this, then and there was an atmosphere which was appropriate, अनुकूल वातावरण जब प्राप्त हुआ, तो हमने ये petition file किया. और he reads these Hindu supremacist poems which are quite denigrating of Muslims, and he has this litany of followers who just not do everything that he says. And
So he's working in the background of this
yeah,
whole
and
petition.
he's quite a character, because
Yeah.
when I had gone to meet him, so he was sitting and talking about all his things that he has done and his future
Yeah.
plans, and he said that Harihar Sena is like Shiv Sena or Hindu Yuva Vahini, which is associated with Yogi Adityanath.
And he's quite a young person.
He
right?
is around 47 years.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember his date of birth, but that's
Yeah.
what the petition says.
Right.
And he's quite a character. While talking to me, he suddenly excused himself for a smoke, but then didn't open the cigarette pack and start smoking. He threw the cigarette pack in matchbox like this. One of his lackeys caught hold of the cigarette, and then he pulls out the cigarette and he lights the cigarette, obviously
Okay.
without taking into his mouth,
Okay.
and then offers to the Mahant,
Right.
like it was a ritual offering.
Right.
So he was trying to
Very
build himself in front of me
Yeah.
as some quite an
Influential
and
personality,
personality with followers
Right.
who really believe in him.
Right.
So that's that. I mean, but after that, Harshankar Jain has taken up the case, and his son Vishnu Shankar Jain is arguing in the case. Now it remains to be seen how the court takes it up.
Right. Interesting. Yashi, in your explained report, you have talked about the history of the mosque, and you also talk about how these petition has been filed, right? So can you talk to me about if the mosque is 500 years old and whether it was built on the Harihar temple as the petitioners are claiming?
Right. So the petitioners say, okay, so first Lord Harihar is, as they say, a vigrah of Shiv and Vishnu. So he's not like one god, he's a special avatar of sorts of Shiv and Vishnu. And Sambhal is significant to the Hindu community because it is believed that Kalki, the 10th avatar of Vishnu, will be born in Sambhal. So that way it has some significance for the community. Now this mosque was built in 1526. This is possibly the oldest Mughal mosque existing in the country. From Babur, Battle of Panipat was 1526. Babur did not rule India for very long because he didn't live for very long after that. Three mosques from Babur's era survive. One is the mosque in Sambhal, the other is a mosque in Panipat, and the third was the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya, which, as we all know, had a very fateful history after that. Now, this mosque, it is fairly common for a lot of medieval monuments to have been built on top of existing structures, or the rubble from existing structures would be used to build these things. It's extremely difficult to say what exactly stood at the site before 1526. There may very well have been a structure, or maybe there was no structure, but to establish that A, there was a structure, and B, what the religious character of that structure was, is very, very difficult sitting in 2024. If we go back to the mosque, it is a mosque built by an official of Babur. It's not like Babur wrote a command saying go build a mosque there. No, it's not like that. There was an official called Hindu Beg who built this mosque. It's a common practice that after a king wins a major battle, there will be some sort of monument erected to commemorate the new reign that has come in. So Sambhal was under the Lodhis. Ibrahim Lodhi lost to Babur in 1526. Sambhal came under the Mughals, and then this mosque was built. This is what we know about the mosque. About the building of the mosque. There are structures of the mosque that are similar to other mosques built at that time, the Sharki Mosque in Jaunpur, things like that, and the Panipat Mosque, which was built a year after the Sambhal Mosque, shares the architectural plan or the structure with this mosque. So what we can say for sure is that it was built in 1526 by Hindu Beg, and the plan of this mosque was used as a model for more mosques that were built after that.
So how are they claiming that there was a temple? Is there any architectural, say, evidence, the design or the material that has been used, something that may give evidence of the existence of a temple before the mosque came out?
So the Hindu side, there are 3-4 features that the Hindu side claims are in the mosque that point to the existence of a temple. One is that there's a bell hanging in one of the domes, which they say was possibly used for hanging a bell once upon a time. There's a chain which they say was for hanging a bell. Then they say there's a path for parikrama, circumambulation of the idol, which happens in temples. And they say that some of the pillars of the mosque look like temple pillars.
Right.
A lot of these claims were made by there was this British official from the Archaeological Survey of India who in 1878 had surveyed this mosque. All of this is in far more detail in the story that is on the Indian Express website, but he said that it does appear as if the Mohammedans, the Muslims, have used rubble from a Hindu structure to build this, and if you peel off the plaster on the stone underneath, you can see Hindu iconography, images, all of that. And so he also mentioned that parikrama path. And then he said that the inscription which says that this was built on Babur's orders, not exactly Babur's orders, but in the reign of Babur, that inscription seems forged because the name of Babur is written in a wrong manner there. This was a report by this ASI official. In the same report, his superior, Alexander Cunningham, added a note saying the inscription is quite genuine, it does not seem forged at all. Interestingly, this is not the first time that this matter has gone to court. Back in 1876, the Hindu side had approached the Muradabad trial court and then the Allahabad High Court, but both the courts had thrown out the Hindu claim on the grounds that they could not establish that a parikrama path existed and the grounds of adverse possession. Basically, the Hindu side could not claim that for 12 continuous years the Muslims had not been using this site, and that particular ruling said that the witnesses from the Hindu side were not very credible. So that had happened. But to be able, as I said, to be able to establish, historians have also said that the mosque is built of stone masonry covered with plaster. That is a fact. Okay. But to be able to establish that plaster is covering something from another religion is again difficult. And as the historian Sohail Ashmi pointed out for our report, a certain architectural feature is no guarantee of the religious structure of any building. Like mosques in Kerala, where Islam came much before it came to North India, don't have minars. Whereas in North India, a minar is one of the first things you would think of when you think of a mosque. So even if there is a pillar which is fluted in the way of a temple pillar, it's no guarantee that it definitely, it doesn't speak of a religious identity. But as I said, all of this is very difficult to go back and actually prove. So it comes down to what each side wants to believe, and which is what is happening.
And based on those claims, you know, the district court, it ordered investigation into this whole thing, right? And when the survey was happening, the violence took place and 4 people were killed, unfortunately. And Deeptiman, you went there, of course, you know, because it's a ASI heritage
protected
site
monument.
also. So you can also, like, anyone can enter the mosque, right? Like how you do at the Jama Masjid here in Delhi. So when you went there, what is it that you figured? Like, how were the people responding after the violence spiraled out?
Obviously, there was tension in the city. There is tension in the city even now. But, you know, while it is an ASI monument and, you know, naturally people can go there anytime, we must also remember that even in the ASI statute, there is a certain, you know, distinction made for religious structures. So there is a difference between, say, a protected monument like Lal Killa and a protected monument like Jama Masjid.
Okay.
So, because it has a religious character, Lal Killa does not have a religious character. So, or Qutub Minar, say, you know, so there is a difference.
Okay.
But in the city right now there is tension. Let me first explain as to.
So it's an ASI monument, which means it's also protected.
It's a protected monument, of course. It's a protected monument.
When ASI protects a monument, there are rules like you can't randomly change its structure, or you can't build a high-rise, say 20 meters from the monument.
Okay.
So protection involves all of that.
Okay.
There are certain steps ASI will keep for the will take for the upkeep of the monument, but that does not interfere with the religious character of the monument.
Yeah. So, so this is a mosque which is sort of built on what we call in Hindi a tila. So sort of a highland, and around it, you know, there are colonies. Most of these colonies are basically Muslim dominated. There are just a couple of Hindu colonies right in front of the mosque, on the front side of the mosque, where the main gate is there. So people there tell me that the Hindus say that you know, they have always called it the Harihar temple, and they claim that since time immemorial in our letters which come here, our address is written as near Harihar temple and not near Jama Masjid. This is something that Muslims living in that area do not deny, and they say that yes, it is true that Hindus have claimed this as Harihar temple, and they have considered it a temple for the longest time.
And they're comfortable with.
But this is a narrative that both sides are comfortable with, and have
been
not
living with it
have lived with it. Have not. I mean, there hasn't been a constant bickering over it.
Right.
Having said that, all of this did precipitate into some bitterness between the communities.
Okay,
In 1976,
all right.
when the Maulana of the mosque, he was allegedly killed by a Hindu man after entering the mosque.
Okay.
And then there were riots in the city, and several people were killed, and the city was under curfew for almost a month. Since then, there has been some bitterness between the two communities, or let's say an air of suspicion around the coexistence that continues to be there.
That continues to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people say that there have been, for decades, the two communities have intermingled. Their children have played together. They go to each other's festivals. They go to each other's weddings.
But that bitterness doesn't interfere with their day-to-day life or say.
Yeah, it does not. It doesn't. But
Calling
that is
the
true of
mosque
most of
Harihar
India.
temple.
India is that kind of a country. Bitterness wherever these two communities live together, or cheek by jowl colonies. This does not affect daily lives, because at the end of the day, culturally, all these people are the same.
Right.
Okay, so it's not like you're dealing with a Turk who is of a completely different culture. It's the same culture.
Right.
So having said that, there have been, but since that 1976 murder, there has been some bitterness between the two communities, and people say that while some of the elderly Hindus, they say that they would, earlier often go into the mosque and even take a bath in that water tank which is used as wazu khana, or the mosque would give water to, now there is piped water. Once upon a time there wasn't. And because it is on a tila, so digging a hand pump was an expensive affair. You would have to go some 120 feet down. So the mosque would give water to all residents, including Hindus. So there was certain bonhoming and coexistence that happens. And Hindus say that they used to freely go into the mosque, but that dwindled down after the 1976. People say that Muslims were not very welcoming, and Hindus themselves were slightly scared because of the tension and the riots that had happened. They also stopped going to the mosque. So some people have claimed that Hindus are not allowed into the mosque. This is exactly what the petition says. That why the petition is not actually asking for a temple to be built, or it's not a title suit. The petition is merely asking that this is an ASI protected monument. Why aren't Hindus being allowed to go inside? So I checked with the administration if there is a court order or executive order to stop Hindus from entering the mosque. They say there is no such order. The mosque committee says that we have not stopped anyone from entering the mosque, and they actually offer that if you want to come and visit the mosque, come and we'll take you inside.
And you also entered the mosque?
No, at this time nobody is entering the mosque
Now,
because
of course,
there is so much of tension at this time. So nobody is entering, but they're saying that once this is over, you can come anytime and enter the mosque, nobody is going to stop you. So, but there has been this thing that less and less Hindus have visited the mosque over the years, and there have been this story that Muslims have been suspicious of Hindus coming because there has been a murder, and now there is a police post just outside the front gate, which obviously asks, "Who are you? Where are you going?" So that kind of a thing can sometimes
Sort of
naturally
deterrent,
create a
yeah.
deterrence in freely visiting a monument.
So the police post that you're talking about, it has been there even before the violence.
It has
took
been there
place.
since 1976.
Okay.
That police post now exists on a well which is right adjacent to the front gate of the mosque. And that well, by all accounts, was once
Used,
continues to be a
yeah.
sacred place for Hindus, and the Hindus used to, perform puja at that well. That is what they say for decades.
Yeah.
Until this murder happened and the
Right.
two communities sort of psychologically moved apart. Till then they used to perform puja at that well, and whenever there was any auspicious function in the house, such as a wedding or a childbirth, so the people, the child or the bride would be taken to the well, and some offerings would be made as a ritual.
So now is the survey sort of done? What next? Like in terms of this petition, are we looking at another round of survey at the?
No, the
Right
Supreme
now,
Court has
everything
decided.
is in the Supreme Court now, and Supreme Court has said that ask the Masjid Committee to go
Go
to
back
the
to
High Court. So this matter, until then, all proceedings in the lower court have been
Stalled.
stayed. So obviously, right now, nothing is going to happen. The High Court will take a decision that whether this survey that has happened. Also, let us understand that this is not exactly the survey as we understand in context of the Gyanvapi Mosque. This was merely an inspection to record the status quo. That at the time the petition was filed, what is the status quo inside the mosque? So that neither party can claim that the scene of the suit has been disturbed after the suit was filed.
Right.
Right.
Until now, an ASI survey has not taken place. So if the Hindu side wins its arguments in the court, there will be an ASI survey to determine the nature of the monument.
Okay.
Yet, the Places of Worship Act will come in the way, because you have to prove that the nature of this religious site was Hindu after 1947.
Absolutely.
Because before that, no claim, you can't claim a 500-year-old issue.
Correct.
That is what Places of Worship Act says.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up, because in our next episode we will be sitting with our legal expert to talk about the Places of Worship Act. And for now, there are prohibitory orders in place. Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, they also try to go to Sambhal to meet the family members of the victims who lost their lives in the violence, but that didn't happen. But we'll see how this unfolds, and thank you Deeptiman and Yashi for giving us your time, and thank you viewers for tuning in. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel, The Indian Express. Thank you so much for watching.